All right, so today we are in for a special treat. I've got Mark Verdova here with Payne. They are one of the best builders that I think is in Cleveland right now. They're a custom builder, so when you go past certain communities and you see all these big production builders, that is not this. Payne builds a lot of luxury homes. And today, Mark and I would like to talk about some mistakes you can avoid when considering to build your next home. So Mark, I'm going to throw this over to you. What is probably one of the biggest mistakes that you would like to throw out there today that people could avoid when building a house?
I think it starts with land, Damien. So, as you mentioned, a lot of our clients are building on, a one-off home site. They might be taking down an existing home and rebuilding. They may have a big 5-6 acre piece of land in the woods. They could be building on more challenging sites than you're seeing in some of the big production builder communities. So the mistake, or I guess maybe even the tip that I would give people, is to do a professional evaluation of the land before pulling the trigger. It's a big investment, certainly, in purchasing that land. And if you have some unknowns, it can quickly spiral into changing that investment range for you, as you need to put up a lot of money to make it right, so to speak, if you haven't done your homework up front.
No, absolutely. And I'll add a little bit to that. So a lot of times when you're working with a large, what we call a box builder or a production builder, the thing is they're buying into a large, massive community. And what happens is when they're doing their due diligence, they're doing soil tests. They're making sure that when they're putting foundations in the ground, that they're not going to be absorbing costs that add zero value to the property. It's just a hidden cost that actually gets put into their overall cost of construction. In Mark's situation, what's happening is when you're buying a single lot, obviously Payne isn't going to go around and investigate all these different properties unless it's something they're purchasing. So in that situation, typically with a custom home, a buyer should be responsible for it. The only issue is many times they look at the cost, which we'll talk about here in a sec, but they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to pay that. So Mark, I'll throw that back over to you because I know you know this answer really well, but like just the cost of soil testing,
that's a really good question. And that's part of what we try to do, is to help people. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, I like this piece of land, I'm thinking about investing in it. We'll ask them to put together some kind of maybe contingency to give us some time to do some diligence. And to your point, you could hear maybe a couple different types of tests that take place in the soil. So just your typical soil test might be $500-600, and that's to help understand the composition of the soil for what type of septic system might go there. So again, if you're on a larger piece of property where you don't have a sewer, you need to design a septic system, and there's all different types of systems that could be at different tiers of cost as well. In addition to that, when you get into properties that maybe have significant slopes, so if somebody wants to build and it's almost like on a cliff, so to speak, and they want to have that beautiful view looking down, doing a geotechnical test is something that we recommend, which is then where a geotechnical engineer bores down into the ground to test that stability of the soil. So not the composition for a septic, but the stability of the soil. Bigger investment, somewhere in the range probably of about $5,000, but again, could be the information you need as a buyer to know what you're getting into, as that may require helical piers or something like that for structure, or have you be recommended to move further away from the cliff, which again, as a buyer, depending on that lot and scenario, it might make that home not feasible or not as desirable, which then may in turn necessitate some negotiation on the purchase of the property if you can't do what you intended to do, or possibly go the other way and look for a different property. So those are the diligence that I think is incredibly important, and it's right up front, and kind of sets the table for what you do next.
Okay, so I'm going to add to this too. So one of the things that Mark just did is he threw out huge value to you guys in the fact that he could potentially save you $40,000 to $80,000 just with a bit of information that he just gave there, or more importantly, the fact that you should not buy that home site, that it does not work for your needs. Now, keep in mind with a box builder or a large production builder, turn that off. What you're going to run into is they're not building where septic systems go. In most cases, they're building where there's city sewer and water, where a lot of custom homes can either be in city sewer and water or in, a place where you're going to have a septic and potentially even a well. but not doing the due diligence on the soil can make a huge impact, and you could be wasting a ton of money that you're never going to get back. So I think that is probably one of the most important things. And the sad thing is even people in this industry don't always listen to that advice.
It's one of those things. You look at it, and I've been with people on land walks, and they say, well, this is great, right? Or this is going to work out perfect, right? And it's just like any other industry, just knowing what to look for, knowing what questions to ask. And that's why my recommendation would be, if someone's out there and they're planning on building a new home, even if they're not sure which builder they're going to use, consult a builder, get their opinion. I would think any builder that is a credible builder would be willing to invest that time too, to try to help somebody in the hopes that they could end up building that home. So that would be my recommendations. Get somebody involved. Even if it looks really straightforward, still get somebody involved, because you just never know. Other things like utilities or wetlands or things that could not be topography related, someone might not know to ask. So again, just always the best practice, get a professional real estate agent or contact a home builder, have somebody in the industry take a look and make sure you know what you're getting into.
Perfect. And let's take this into, I know you're going to know about all kinds of stuff to talk about here, but let's talk about building envelopes on the lots, because you always get the question, do you go by the house first? And I mean by the plan, what floor plan do you want, or do you go by the lot? And I think it really depends on a lot of different situations. But Mark, I don't know if you want to shed some light on some mistakes people make because they don't understand the actual building envelope and what can fit within it. Because if you pass a soil test, now that's the next problem you're going to run into.
I think that's a great question too. And what we talk about with folks, again, because it's such a big investment, is maximizing that opportunity on the site. So to me, I like the term site-specific design. So what that might mean is, again, depending on the width of the lot, the depth of the lot, that could dictate, to your point, the building envelope, how big or how wide the home might be. And even thinking the next level about views, right? So where you might want your master bedroom to be on your lot based on the topography or based on the views or based on what's around you. So to me, I always start with the lot. I do have people that will come to us and want to talk about the floor plan first. And of course we can do that. But again, you may find a lot that then requires that home to be flipped or requires that home to be completely revised. So I think it's always safest, even if you've got it in your head what you want to do, to find the land before you start doing the house planning.
No, it makes sense. And Mark, do you guys work with architectures, or do you have more of an in-house design firm?
So we do both. I mean, we have an architect, Mike Cato, on our staff, who is incredible and just so fun to work with. He's incredibly talented, very wide range of styles. But we also work with people that bring us plans. So it could be, if you said you wanted to build a home and you started working with an architect on plans, we can build them. But again, we have the on staff. I think a lot of people enjoy that kind of seamless process, or knowing that we're all working together. Knowing that the cost is all in one as well, rather than you pay this firm, then you pay that firm. So that's something that we think works really well for us. But at the same time, we have a handful of homes a year that are designed by outside architects that we build for our clients.
Nice. So once you get past the lot and the house, and we've already, prepared the soil and made sure that there's no issues there, probably the next issue is the planning of their lifetime and their lifestyle in that home. So is that something you'd like to share a little more information on?
Yeah, I think, when we're talking with people, a lot of times, people are in all different stages when they come to us, right? So you might have somebody, for example, that has a really young family. You've got a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old at home. And so, your mindset as a homeowner is, how do I make this make sense for me right now? And what we try to tell people is to have a plan that can evolve, a long-term plan, something. So if you design a room today for what your life is today, so in that example, it might be a playroom, right? Hey, I want a playroom close to the family room so that I can keep an eye on my, young kid. Have a game plan for how that can evolve into another space later. So, certainly an easy transition there could be a den. It might be worth having a bathroom nearby in the event that maybe mom or dad comes to live with you at some point and would need a guest suite on the first floor. So whether you can convert that into a private guest suite or some sort of or just a bedroom perhaps that is around the corner from a bathroom. Thinking through that kind of future planning, I think, makes a lot of sense. That's a mistake I see people make, is designing for today and maybe not thinking down the road. And, similar, depending on where you are with age, maybe today steps are easy and good. If you're going to live there for a really long time, though, your life might change to where it's more convenient to have your master bedroom on the first floor. So, that would be another thing. You meet somebody who's 50 years old, completely healthy, totally fine with steps. And if they're going to live there for 25 years, there might come a time where they want that bedroom on the first floor. And so thinking that way, I think is something that we try to tell people. Think about, how long you're going to live in the home and how your life might be down the road versus what it is today.
Yep. And just for anybody that doesn't know Mark, as well as I have over the last, since 2003, I think when I met you.
Yeah, that is.
Mark has worked with so many different homeowners, has been through so many different situations, and can honestly probably reflect back even to 2003 on certain families and the evolution of those families. And one thing that I'm sure he'll agree with me when I say this, but when it comes to second floor masters and first floor masters, typically a family with young children want a second floor master because they don't want to have to wake up in the middle of the night, be half awake, and potentially fall down the stairs because their kid's crying and they're going to address them. But once that kid gets to a certain age, the need and the desire to be on the same level as them tends to change.
Absolutely.
Somebody to want to maybe make a floor plan change. So I love your idea about maybe a kid's room being downstairs, having a second bathroom where it could either be for yourself. But we see nowadays a lot of people are building 2 masters in a house, which that first floor master might be a good playroom for the start. And then maybe the golden child gets the second floor master.
The chosen one gets the master suite. It's, that's one thing that I have seen change that you just commented on, having the 2 master suites. We're seeing some more multi-generational homeowners, just based on, if you look at the statistics, people are living longer. So, again, if we're the one generation, the generation older than us, some of those people are coming and living, with people in my and your age range. And you've got a lot of, the millennials and such are staying at home longer than maybe past generations as well. So, you've got potentially 3 generations living in a house together. And so, it's more and more important to have those, bedrooms and bathrooms set up for privacy. We're seeing more people do things over a garage, for example, because then that gets you to one end of the house where that can be a private suite, or like you said, maybe one down and one up. Certainly people finishing lower levels more if you can have egress so it's safe for someone to have a bedroom down there. That's a popular space as well, maybe for that person in their 20s that's still living at home, that they can have their freedom kind of downstairs and their privacy. So we're seeing that more and more for sure.
Are there any other popular things that you guys have popping up outside of that?
I think that, in my opinion, a lot of the floor plan themes have stayed the same recently, but I do see a change coming. I think you would agree, we've seen a lot of the open floor plans, right? People have wanted high ceilings, natural light, open floor plans. Kitchens are where everyone's spending their time. I don't know that, the focus on the kitchen will change, but I do think during this time, with all of us staying at home more, we're in our house more hours of the day than ever before. We're spending more time with our significant other or extended family members. And, for me in our home, one of the things I've really valued is we have multiple away spaces. We've got a screened in porch, which again, thank God the weather is good enough to where we can use that. I've got the space that I'm coming to you from right now is kind of like a den setup where again, I can get away to do work and have some privacy. And I think that, those spaces, we're going to see people asking for more and more, so that, hey, if we're more homebound than we were before, I've got a dedicated place where I can work uninterrupted. I have another area where I can watch TV, what I want to watch, even if someone else wants to watch something else in the other room. So I see that trend coming up more. I think I think outdoor living spaces, and away spaces in the home are probably what we're going to see people asking for more and more in the months to come based on this whole experience.
Yeah, I think it's also going to be a big driver just due to the fact that more people are going to start working from home. I think that's going to be more of a common trend. And
Absolutely.
you couldn't have said it better with just all the private away spaces. Even for us at our house right now, we have two different offices. They're totally separate ends of the house to where if I'm walking and pacing and talking, I'm not annoying my wife while she's trying to work. So it makes a big benefit. Mark, how can people get in touch with you or reach out to you if they would like to talk about building?
Yeah, a few different ways. I mean, my personal contact information I'll share. My cell phone number is 440-226-0101. So certainly welcome to field any calls or text messages individually. Our company, our phone number is 440-286-9758. And then, of course, you can find us online. Our website is www.payne-payne.com. And we also are on social media on Facebook and Instagram. So any of those ways are good ways to contact us. Social media is a good way just to see what we're up to. We'll post tips and photos of cool things that we've done. So any of those are different ways for you to connect with us.
And I would suggest if you guys can find the pictures, I'll put a link in here, but Mark does post some pretty amazing pictures. I saw one of a wine type basement the other day that looked like a vault.
Yes, I'm very, very jealous of that homeowner. I wish, especially during quarantine, right now.
Who needs a pub or a nice bar to go to when you have that in your basement all the time? So
exactly right.
that's amazing. Well, either way, if anybody's looking for more free tips, feel free to follow this page and turn on your notifications because we will be posting more. And also, if you like what Mark and I were talking about, feel free to like and comment on that. And if we get enough of those, we'll definitely be bringing Mark back because when it comes to home building, both of us could probably talk for hours every day about that.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, thank you so much for coming by, and hopefully we have you back here in the near future.
Thank you. It was great catching up with you. Appreciate it.